gentlemen, season 4, episode 2, Mother Mayhem. And there's some freaky ass ish going down in Metropolis. And it's your boy Icon with some DC TV. So, this episode starts, it starts with a family where there's a little girl, she's up in a room and she's playing, I guess her Nintendo Switch. And then Rockwell's Somebody's Watching Me is playing in the background, which is a nice nod to what's happening. We see her parents. And then all of a sudden, you know, the girl just hears like, oh, what was it, Metreon, like through her system, and then you know, like the walls turn red and all this blood thing happened, and then basically her mama died, and then her daddy got snatched up. So the Titans have to deal with that now, but also they're currently in the midst of dealing with the Connor situation because Connor got arrested as soon as Lex Luthor had died. So and and Connor let them arrest him. It wasn't like Connor put up a fight. There was no point until he was talking to Dick and Corey. Connor never said to anybody, the police, detectives, nothing. He never said, I didn't kill him. He just allowed them to take him into custody. And because Metropolis is the home of Superman and Lex Luthor is Superman paranoid, there was already like a prison built that had kryptonite lighting and everything to help stop Superman. So they put Connor in that particular prison. But it didn't really take away his power because he still had a super hearing and he was still able to hear everything that was going on around him. So the Titans show up because they see him on the TV because Connor was supposed to actually stay with Lex for 6 months because Lex only had 6 months to live. So he was supposed to stay with him for 6 months but now that's not going to happen because he dead. And then Tim sees it on the television that Connor's been arrested. The Titans go down, they go talk to Connor and he's like, I didn't do it. We also find out that Lex was looking into Corey as well. So Corey basically went to go investigate because there was like this one particular dude or whatever that kept coming up in like all these different photos. Corey went to go investigate that situation and then she went to go look for clues. And then, you know, Dick and Rachel, they were just like, let's go to the crime scene and see if we can find something from the crime scene. So Dick and the gang, they go to the crime scene. Rachel does her magical, mystical mumbo jumbo. And, you know, she talks about how like magic always leaves a signature. And then she's able to see certain things in the house. She saw how Lex died. She saw where he died. She kept calling him Alexander. And then she also saw a house. It was a particular house that was like in her vision. And she told Dick, she was like, listen, she said, I don't know who killed him, but I know where they live. So Dick calls the troops and he's like, all right, let's go down to this house so we can investigate. Gar and Tim, though, they were in the forest doing training. And while they were doing training, there was a moment where Gar himself, he started hearing voices because people have been hearing voices throughout the whole thing. Gar started hearing voices, but to him, he said that the voices sounded like animals dying. And he kind of like wigged out for a little bit. Tim had to help him up. And then they went to go help Grayson and Rachel. They go down to this mysterious house that Rachel saw in her vision. And then when they go down to the house, Rachel, you know, she taps into the mystical power. And then she sees the same creature with, you know, like the bird mask face, whatever. She goes and confronts him. They find the child upstairs because the daughter was still alive and she was having a seizure. Rachel taps into the child. She gets into the child's mind. She goes into the child's mind. She finds the kid. Her and the kid are talking. And then the bird mask figure shows up. Rachel has a fight with him. She defeats him, but doesn't get to see who he is. And then after she defeats him, you know, like he backs off and then she's able to get the little girl out. You know, so they take the girl back to the hospital. She's talking to Dick about her parents. Dick calms her down. And then they continue with the investigation. When Corey left, Corey went and she basically found one of Lex Luthor's associates. And when she found the associate, she was torturing the guy for information. But the guy had said not only did Lex die, but every single member of Luthor's board of directors or whatever, they all died too. He was like, it was like a simultaneous killing. And he was the only one left who survived. He said that when Lex found out that he was dying, he ended up going on like some retreat or whatever, like some sabbatical where he met up with mystical people with a different, he said a cult. He said that Lex actually like teamed up with a cult. And he was trying to like, they said that instead of him trying to like fight the disease, he was trying to cheat death itself, which is why he teamed up with that woman in the first episode. So then the magical powers ended up getting to the guy, like the spirits, whatever. They got to him. The snake came out of his mouth. They killed him. Corey roasted the snake. So now this dude's dead as well. Corey ended up talking to Connor some more. They had a little conversation, and then the whole gang met up to go search for clues in a mysterious warehouse where they think they can find the killer of all these people. When they get down to the warehouse, there are bodies that are like hanging from the ceiling and they're having their blood drained. One of the bodies that was having the blood drained belonged to the father of the little girl, but they said that he was still alive. There's another guy there that was still alive. Like certain people were still alive. So they ended up trying to get those people out. and then they got attacked, not in the shadow realm by these mysterious masked creatures, but I think the masked creatures were actually there in the house, and they attacked them for real. So this gets them into like a big fight. Rachel ends up fighting the person in the mask. She uses her power to like pin him down, and then she rips the mask off him, and then we find out that the person who killed Lex Luthor and the person who's behind the mask is also the same person who's the leading expert on kryptonite, minerals and how to manipulate kryptonite, this, that, and the third. So now they're looking for him because they know that this is the person who's responsible. And now they're just like, okay, we have a lead. And apparently Lex was working with this guy trying to obtain magical power, whatever the case may be. But now the guy obtained the power for himself, and now he's trying to cut everybody else out the deal. And then from there, I guess they gave all that information to the police, because after that, the Titans tried to leave the city. Like their whole thing was, we found out who the dude was. We rescued the little girl's daddy. Like everything's okay. And they were basically just like, they was out. They tried to leave. Connor ended up getting exonerated because they didn't find any criminal activity. And plus, there was no way that they could prove that Connor killed the entire Luthor board. So there was no reason for them to keep him. So Connor ended up getting away scot-free. And then Connor got mad. He was like, I never want to come back to Metropolis again. And then Sebastian Blood, he was trying to sell a video game to some people, and that didn't work. And they called him, they said his game was whack. And then he was like, I'm going to change the world. And then he left. When he went back home, he started hearing the voices again, and then like his coffee turned into blood or whatever. So now there's like this whole weird thing. The lady from the first episode, like she was there. She was on the other side of Sebastian Blood's like room. Like she had brought him into a room, and then when he started like wigging out and screaming, she was on the other side. So this woman works for like the Azrath, the Temple of Azrath, whatever. She's one of the people who are descended. Like she has to be. And then finally, now that the gang's all here, because I feel like I missed something there, because again, after they rescued all those bodies and Rachel uncovered the face of the person who was behind everything, I don't understand why they left. Like I'm still confused as to why they were just like, oh, mystery solved. Like I said, it's almost like they gave they gave the image of the person to the police. They're like, hey, here's the guy you're looking for. We're going back to San Francisco, and they did. But then while they were on their way back to San Francisco, there was this woman that was in the middle of the street destroying all these cars and scaring people. So the Titans decided to engage. And obviously I assume this person was Mother Mayhem. And then when they engaged with Mother Mayhem, she whooped Connor's behind because, Superman or Kryptonians in general, they're weakened by kryptonite and magic. So that's why Connor got taken down. Rachel got taken out because Rachel actually tried to use her power against Mother Mayhem, and Mother Mayhem sucked her power in. When she sucked her power in, Rachel's hair turned white. So I don't know if she took Rachel's soul or she stole Rachel's power. I'm still confused about that one as well. Gar got beat up. Tim got beat up. The only person, Nightwing got beat up. The only person who didn't get beat up was Corey. Because when Mother Mayhem tried to blast Corey, Corey used her power to counteract it. And then she knocked Mother Mayhem out, and then she disappeared. They were talking throughout the entire episode about how Lex was researching Corey and researching her power, which is why he knows all about the Tamaranian thing. And I feel like if Lex knew he got into beef with the Temple of Azarath and all these people, he probably figured out that Corey's power could counteract that, and he was trying to get as much information on Corey as possible to protect him in case they tried to attack. Clearly that didn't work. But then Corey was able to defeat her, and then she dipped. Like I said, Rachel's hair is turning white. The whole gang is sitting there trying to help Rachel revive herself, and then that's it. And then in the final scene, Mother Mayhem was actually there, and then she was like in her secret caverns or wherever she was, and then she was just walking around with a staff. She put the staff in the middle, and then she said the words Azrath, Montreal, Synthos. And they actually emphasized the T. It was Synthos or Syntost or whatever. So with Azrath, Montreal, Synthos, and then the whole crowd was chanting Azrath, Montreal, Synthos, Azrath, Montreal, Synthos. I don't know if Rachel's there, if her spirit's there, or whatever the case may be. But then while the crowd was chanting that, was doing the classic chants of Azrath, Montreal, Synthos, we saw Sebastian Blood was able to hear them. And it was very confusing to me what people can hear these ghosts and what people can't, because certain people hear what's going on. Gar hears like dead animals for some reason. Gar can hear it, like Rachel can hear it, Sebastian Blood can hear it, and everybody else is just like, what's going on? I'm surprised Connor can't hear it because he has like the super hearing. But that's how the episode pretty much ended, and thank you for tuning in, and Lex is still dead. We're running with that. Apparently we're running. I don't believe this. I do not believe that Lex Luthor is dead. I feel like in the season finale, Lex is going to come out of the curtain and be like, it was me all along. You fell for it. Ha ha ha. Cause I refuse to believe y'all going to kill some Lex Luthor. But, no, but it's interesting. And again, I like the fact that the show is focusing on all the other individual members of the Titans, and it's not just focused on Nightwing. Like, we're actually making this like a group show. Like, everybody has a storyline where Corey has her whole thing with Lex and what's going on. Rachel has the whole thing with the Temple of Azarath. Gar has his thing with the Animal Kingdom. Tim's still trying to become a Robin, and Nightwing is there just like leading the troops and trying to guide everybody to where they need to go. So it is definitely interesting. But share your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. What did you think about episode 2 of Titans? Are you down with the Sebastian Blood thing and the whole snakes thing with people throwing up blood? I feel like the show was supposed to start in October. I feel like Titans got delayed for some reason because there's too much horror shit. And even with the musical choices, like, Who's Watching Me? I feel like the show was supposed to debut in October, or was at the very least, episode 2 was supposed to debut on like Halloween or something. And then they just changed their mind and then they pushed it back to November. But like I said, share your comments and let's continue to talk about it. Hit me up on Twitter and or Instagram, always on YouTube. Check out my episode 1 review of Titans, which is on the channel. Episode 3 coming next week. Check out my reviews of Stargirl. Check out Wakanda, my review for Wakanda Forever when that drops in November 11th. And on December 4th, we have the returning Doom Patrol. Thank you for tuning in, guys. As always, I appreciate you. So till next week for some Titans action, take care. And as always, I love this.